a video shot on your iPhone that's an effective message to the right person at the right time can be just as helpful, if not more helpful, than something that's more produced. We're not just thinking for the 2-minute video. We're also thinking, how do we need to ask this question so that we have 4 or 5 YouTube shorts, and they're going to be designed in a way that's going to work for a YouTube short. Every company, organizations everywhere should be looking at their small touch points and going, where would video be a more effective way to communicate this than this block of text?
Hey friend, welcome to this week's episode of Distribution First. So excited to have my friend John Azzoni from Unveiled on, and we are going to talk all things video, storytelling, how we can use video better in 2025 and use that across our content marketing, distribution, repurposing, all that good stuff. John, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, man. I've been following the podcast for a long time, so it's a full circle moment for me.
I know. I was thinking about it. I was like, man, I did your podcast very early on. I can't remember when, but it was what, 2022, 2023. It's been a while.
It's been a while. I think you were one of my first guests.
Awesome. I love that.
In the first 7 or 8 people,
Yeah. So super fun, full circle moment. And I think a ton of value. Lots of things have changed, as wild as that is, right? Probably for both of us, but also in the market too, and where marketing and in particular video has gone. So I'm just kind of curious, as you look at the lay of the land and the people you're talking to, even your clients, but also just the wider landscape, how do you see video fitting in? I feel like every year it's, the year of video, but where do you see that this year in 2025?
I think it's really becoming more conversational. I think, 10 years ago 15 years ago when I got into video, it was very much like, we didn't have the types of cameras on our phones, that we have now. Hang on, I'm going to hit this mute button. All right. Yeah, we didn't have the cameras that we have now. And so doing a video for your company was like an event, and so you had to hire someone, the crew comes out, all this stuff. And that's still the case now. But what I like to see is these more micro touch points of video, where a video shot on your iPhone that's an effective message to the right person at the right time can be just as helpful, if not more helpful, than something that's more produced. So I think the playing field is leveled a lot more, and video is just becoming more of a communication tool rather than this big event thing that we invested in. So I think it's only going to move more towards that, especially as SEO is changing and AI results are coming out. And AI, I saw this morning, I read something that Google is starting to serve social posts to people's queries. So I'm like, so if you're showing up with video in social feeds, it doesn't have to be a big budget commercial. It's just, you just answered a question, you can show up in the search results. So I just think it's cool. It's an exciting opportunity, I think, for everybody.
The idea of going from super high production to where video is at now, I think for individuals, it makes total sense. Anybody who's on any social media platform, especially anything, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, anything that's really video forward, that authentic, more raw video is, makes a ton of sense to lean into. I think the interesting thing is with companies and wanting to invest in video, I think the first thing that a lot of people might think of is high production value video still. Are you seeing a flip in that to where maybe we start on the social, maybe we start on the smaller types of video and work our way up? Or is it still hey, we're going to do this, sit down production, big thing?
I mean, in terms of what I'm seeing more clients wanting to invest in volume of video content rather than spending $20,000 on one video. And that's really how my business has evolved in that direction because of that. We're seeing, and I think has a lot to do with the content. The theme of content repurposing has gotten more in the limelight lately. I know you've had something to do with that.
Hopefully just a little. That's
I've
okay.
heard the word come out of your mouth maybe a time or two.
There's
But
only a full course on it, no
yeah.
big deal.
But I talked to a company yesterday. I'm in higher ed, but this company was like kind of higher ed adjacent, and they want to do this whole thought leadership series for their, they connect students becoming nurse, like wanting to become doctors or nurses, to opportunities for like clinical rotations in the United States. And they want to do thought leadership on like what makes a quality placement and stuff like that. So they don't have a commercial. They don't have like a top level overview video of their company. And that's where they decided to start. And I thought that was great, because if that's, you have to look at where your leads are coming in and what do they need, at that time. There is a space for a really high production quality overview video, and there's also a lot of space for just stuff that could go in automated email sequences. And as I'm thinking of, I'm starting to do LinkedIn ads, and so I created this LinkedIn ad this past week about our company, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I could use that on my website, but I'm kind of like, actually no, that would not be a fit for like first impression, because it's just me like webcam style video, and that was intentional for the LinkedIn ad. But so I just think that there's a really good time and place for like high production quality, and there's spots where it makes sense. Like I think on your website homepage, that kind of thing, you shouldn't probably have like an iPhone video or something like that. But in these social contexts, LinkedIn, Facebook, email, you can get away with a lot more, less quality.
And I think that is honestly, even some of the testing that I've done with different companies, is when you put out a higher quality video, it actually performs worse on these social channels, or on YouTube in general, because I think it feels too high quality. It's odd to say it feels too high quality, but it's, or maybe, there's probably a myriad of reasons, right? Like maybe the storyline isn't all the way through, or there's different things. But I think from the overall look and feel, from a traditional corporate video with the corporate music in the background and all that, it's just like, whoa, I got no time for this.
Because it feels different, because a lot of, when we go to make a marketing video, we put music underneath, for instance. And this was something I've been thinking through with this LinkedIn ad that I created. I'm like, I should create one with music and one without, because when I am scrolling funny content or entertaining content, or even on LinkedIn, just educational content, it's usually someone's podcast or something that's delivering value. There's no music underneath it. But as soon as someone wants to sell me something, there's music underneath it. And so yeah, I have to get out of that mindset as a videographer of making what I have always known to be quality, and really catering to the context in which this is going to be seen. So at the same time, I've seen some organizations have good success with taking a highly produced video, and because the story was good, making it vertical and having great success as an Instagram reel. So I think if the story's good, and it's not such a hard sell, then that plays into it too.
Yeah, that's so funny. I would have never thought, but you're right. Like whenever somebody tries to sell me something, insert tactic, right? And so I think that's a really funny, interesting way to think about how we're packaging our content out into the market in very, very subtle ways. As I work tightly with the team that I'm working with right now, like, man, we'll look back and we'll like really think something is going to nail on social. And then, we look back and we're just like, why isn't this working? And so that's the cool thing about social. That's the cool thing to me about distribution, and where distribution is headed right now is it's overwhelming in some ways, because it's not like I'm going to my Google dashboard and just looking at like a handful of metrics. Like every single channel has different metrics that you have to optimize and look for. but holy smokes, if you're on YouTube right now, you can get some serious data that you can't get anywhere else. So like you can get how often those people slide up off of your videos, how fast are they get, just all of these things added up that I just moved on to YouTube, and it's like, whoa, the world has been opened here. Because like if you're on LinkedIn doing video, you only get, you're getting impressions, you're getting a few other things, but it's pretty surface level as far as your overall metrics. Whereas, I
Yeah.
mean, YouTube's just crazy. And so, but it is a learning curve on what those metrics are and what you can do to sort of, boost that content.
Yeah, I think we have to change the way that we work with external video companies because of that. And what I've noticed throughout my career is we deliver a great video, it's completely untested. They it might be great to us, but who knows, if we had asked, if we'd done focus groups on this video, how that video would have changed. And so the way, you can look at how well is this video designed is like, first of all, just seeing where the drop off is on, on the back end of the YouTube stats. And so it's like, if they're dropping off early, it's like, all right, our hook is boring. We should not start with, hi, I'm James and I'm the CEO of, which I would never really recommend anyways. But like,
but I think to that point, John, I think that's what people think they should do. Like,
yeah,
just naturally, like, oh, they're not going to know who I am, so I'm going to introduce myself early. Or, I've got to introduce our company like really quickly and give them a little synopsis. And it's like, that is the exact opposite of what you have to do. Like, it's
yeah,
purely like how, like, you are one of many as you're scrolling that feed, and you were popping in between two highly, high quality videos, and then it's you. Like, that's how
yeah.
you have to think about it.
And I've seen this, and I've seen it work. It just really, like, the more I learn about how people consume content, the more I'm kind of like, the way your video is designed is going to have to be dictated by the amount of attention your audience is going to give you in that context. So if you're creating something for scrollers or for people who are just going to stumble on this video from Google, that's very different than, we've done, back in the previous company I worked with, we did a lot of corporate videos. We worked with this food service company. So they're big. They do all the like GM, the food, workplace food for like GM and stuff like that. And when they were getting that GM contract, they had sent us down to Tallahassee, Florida to do a documentary on their cattle ranch. Like the CEO, it was a super cool story. Like the CEO was not happy with the meat suppliers. They was getting too inconsistent of meat. So he's like, I'm just going to start a ranch. And so we told this story. It was like a whole 20-minute documentary. And then we made a 5-minute video of it. The client insisted on starting with, I'm Jim Barty, I'm the CEO of, Continental. And so we were kind of like, oh, that's not, that's not going to do good. But they took that video and that made sense in the pitch to GM,
Mm-hmm.
because they had a captive audience that was watching this, that did want to know who's behind this and where is this starting, and where, and then what happened. So it really just matters. Like if you're using video as a tool that you're going to take this video to somebody in a sales meeting, that's very different than you're creating things for people to just find and, to attract views from strangers. So yeah, we really have to change the way that we work with videographers, I think, too, to really have it be more of an ongoing relationship. Because I like to check in with my clients and go, hey, how is that video performing? Like, do we need to tweak anything? Like, where are they dropping off? Should we go back to the edit and like tweak something? And that's something that most videographers aren't going to do, because it's like they got paid and now they're on to the next thing. And that's because so much of like hiring a video vendor is just very project based. And I think it has to move in this context towards, long-term relationship based, because you're going to need to tweak things as you go.
I think that's true just overall. And as far as like creating content, like creating that white paper or creating that video or creating that podcast, get whatever you're trying to get off the ground. Like there's a starting point and there's really unlimited endpoints to how much you want to evolve and learn. And with the talking about the specificity of the channels, like if you don't have somebody dedicated to understanding the nuance on those channels, if you're just posting and ghosting, that's fine. That's a strategy, right? Like there's a lot of people who just like, I'm just going to post, whatever on YouTube, or I'm just going to post whatever on LinkedIn and hope for the best. And I
Mm-hmm.
think what I'm hearing in this conversation is really the need to dive into like that content fit for that specific channel and medium. And I talk about it from like a platform native content, zero click, whatever you want to call it. Like it's that idea of not only just like fitting it for the medium, right? Like you mentioned, like we took this horizontal video and popped it in vertically. Like that's like, okay, that's step one. Like you did a good job there. But then step two is like, if somebody stumbles upon this in X, Y, and Z scenario, is this helpful? Is this how they want to consume this content? I mean, a great example of this is um, I'm working with a company right now, and we're doing a video strategy where it's how-to videos. We're taking these how-to videos and we're filming them, and then the idea was like, hey, we'll take these and we'll cut them down to shorts, and we will post those on YouTube, and then we can sort of dual purpose, repurpose, all that good stuff. The interesting part is after we did that, we just kept watching it and we're like, it's not good. Like the repurposed version is not good. Like
Yeah.
we thought we could take it, shrink it down, and redo it. So what we actually did was we ended up reshooting it specifically for a short, taking that
Yeah.
same content, that same idea, and just kind of we repurposed it. It was just more work, not a ton, but like we had to actually go back and shoot it versus like, oh, I'll just go into whatever video editing program and cut it differently. It's like, no, it really needs to be for that format, and we'll see how it performs. But I'm guessing it will perform better than our original idea.
Yeah. When we work with clients, as Unveiled, we have, I've spent 11 years in corporate video working with all kinds of clients, and then started Unveiled and decided to pick the higher ed niche. But it's very, very much the same as working with any other company. But as we work with colleges, one of the things that we do is we understand, like we've kind of studied a lot of colleges, like communications flows and how prospective students like encounter videos and learn about a school. So when we're doing a story on a student, we're not just thinking for the 2-minute video, that they're going to have on the landing page for that program. We're also thinking in this interview, how do we need to ask this question so that we have 4 or 5, YouTube shorts, and they're going to be designed in a way that's going to work for a YouTube short, not just like some compilation of things that they said that maybe are kind of interesting, but because you didn't ask the question strategically, you've had to make 20 cuts in a in a 30-second video, and there's just jumping all over the place.
You made him say something, but boy, that took a lot of work.
Yeah, so that's really how I have grown in the last few years, to think about every video production as full funnel. We're thinking of, typically what we're creating is bottom of funnel, 2 to 3 minute video. If someone's gonna really invest in that, they're probably that school is probably on their short list, and they want to make the best decision. But we're also thinking about the rest of the funnel that we can get out of that student or that faculty story, and how you need to design those interview questions or the B-roll or whatever to make sense for those contexts. So I think that's really, it's tough, because it's like I've spent years and years in my career trying to understand like the concept of a funnel and like how it works and how that should change the content, the nature of the content. And I'm still learning, and it's just it's not an easy thing. It's not an obvious thing. It's really something that takes a lot of finesse to know, like, man, just with this little tweak could make this work at the top of the funnel,
Yeah, I think it's that distribution first mindset of understanding what you want to get out of it before you create it, and understanding where we're going to use this before I go shoot it. And that is really how you can start to think. It feels like such a small change, but it really is monumental in a lot of ways for a lot of companies and a lot of marketers. Is just if you simply ask that question of not only how are we going to do this, but can we use this interview in a higher funnel thing like that? We could work on those things together. I think one of the downfalls for a lot, whether it's a marketing team at a higher ed university or college or a standard company, is just the siloed disconnect between all the things that are getting created and done versus tying everything together. Whereas if you had a really good webinar or a really good monthly video or a series that you were working on, how do you tie that in with the rest of your sales program? How do you tie that in with the top of funnel stuff that you're doing?
Yeah.
And it's not always a rubber stamp. Yep. This all works together, but almost I would venture to say 100% of the time, there is something else you can use that content for somewhere that isn't your original idea.
Yeah. And in the last month, my perspective on that exact thing has changed a lot, because I started working with a new client. They're a big university on the East Coast. And, they came to me with like, we want to do these videos. And so I was kind of like, okay, well, this time, like, let's map out your student journey. I want to see like where people are encountering you at, and then send me all your emails that they would get, like all the comms flows that they would get. And I just want to see, like, is there something in here that we can use to design this shoot a little differently than just approaching it from like, oh, why should someone come here? Oh, here's the reasons why it's great, and reviewing their automated email sequences was like life changing for me, because I'm like, every company, organizations everywhere should be looking at these small touch points and going, where would video be a more effective way to communicate this than this block of text? Or where would video enhance this piece of text that I just put in here? And we found so many ways that we could completely transform their automated sequences. And just think of like the ROI on that. Like, that's the main thing that you're using to drive students down the funnel. And if you're not thinking about, we all know instinctively that video is like king these days, but our view of video is so low. It's like, make a video, put it on YouTube, send it to some people that maybe share it on social or something like that. But there's all these communication touch points where you can repurpose that into that. If in the case of colleges, a lot of times it's their email comms flows are the main converting tool. So to not have video in there when that, like, video is what students want to see, it seems silly, but it's like, we forget that there's all these other touch points that video can be used for, if you have content repurposing in mind and you're working backwards from that. So I've really started to when a client comes to me, really started to slow them down a bit and go, where are people encountering any messaging from you at all in the first place? Because if we just throw this video up on YouTube, but it would actually be more effective for like an email flow or for a paid ad or something like that, that's going to completely change, the way that we design this, or at least the way that we set it up to be repurposed for other contexts.
Yeah, the mining into those emails might give you better ideas to create a video for, like, oh man, this one gets clicked all the time, or what, you know what I mean? Or like, this particular subject line really catches, okay, like maybe we got to figure out how we tie that in. It's using all your data points around the larger content ecosystem to then inform what types of video, in this case particularly, that you're going to create. I've even seen this as a like you talk about, it's confusing of like top of funnel, bottom of funnel, middle, like what is this thing? And the interesting with how people buy today, it's not that nice and neat,
Right.
unfortunately, right? Like
Yeah.
it's, but I think that also lends itself to a ton of opportunity. One of the things that I've been looking at is, because we are creating a lot of how-to content, like how do we take and use that in different areas, not necessarily to like sell at the bottom of funnel, but like let's say we're creating a particular how to on a part that we're gonna, like how to install this part, right? Like imagine you're selling car parts and somebody's typing in how do I install new brakes on my car. That's a pure middle funnel that you want to be part of if you sell brake
Totally.
pads, right? At the same time, that is a video that you can embed on your parts page to then, if somebody is looking for that part, they also feel reassured that, oh, if I buy it from them, they're also going to help me install it. I can watch it. I can learn exactly how to do this. So it's multi-purpose. It's just, to your point, kind of knowing and figuring out and reverse engineering how can we use this across different parts of our funnel.
Yeah, and I saw that. I was really excited last week because I was we're working with one school, and I typed into ChatGPT, like, tell me about this program, because I hadn't really, I didn't have a great understanding of how to wrap my head around this program, and it gave me a synopsis like in text form, and then it spit out a video that I created for them. that was like
Whoa.
that was like, here's it turned out the class that I was learning about was really, in a roundabout way, just teaching interpersonal skills like leadership, and it's a data science school. So like, how do you tell the story behind the data to a stakeholder? And so it gave me this video of interpersonal skills, which was a topical video that we did for this school on all the things outside of just mathy data stuff that they're going to learn. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like, that actually really helped me understand the program. And I'm like, I made that. And it showed up in and it showed up in ChatGPT. And I'm like, that's how I sent it to the client. I was like, this is exactly what we need to be doing, because when people are searching this stuff, video is going to enhance their understanding of that. And when someone feels clear on something and they feel like they understand it, they're going to move toward it. If they're confused and they're like, I still don't get it, they're going to go find some other program or some other product that makes more sense to them. So it's like that. I'm real big on answering questions now through video.
Yeah, I mean, answering questions, it's the classic, they ask, we answer flow from, that was a very big SEO flow, 15 years ago, but it still holds true, right? Like it's more nuanced. It's not, you're finding that in a keyword, list. You're actually maybe out having those conversations. Like, I'm sure there are things within your business that you get asked all the time, or that people, just keep coming up. And so for you, it's, how do I answer these? And video is it's just a great medium. I think it's, I have seen this even with the podcast, and I don't do a ton of like standalone, like I'm going to go record a video. I do the podcast and that sort of spreads out. But even in that, I just think there's something unique about seeing the people and knowing who they, like hearing them. And so, like, if
Mm-hmm.
you're a company, like seeing a couple people from the company show you how to use the product early on is really nice, and you get to know those people and get to, like, oh, you're so and so from the product support team, or oh, you're, you work on in the higher ed space, maybe it's on the like student success side or whatever it is, right? Like you get to know, like, oh, they're real people that work here. They have actual stories to tell. It's not
Yeah,
just the marketing fluff that anybody could spit out and put into their website.
for sure. I mean, I think that when you feel a connection, that's the power of storytelling. And when you is really developing a connection to, now when you know this, that you feel like this person, you're more likely to invest in that. Like the example I tell my audience is when that show Undercover Boss came out in like 2012 or whatever. I remember my wife and I watching an episode on Kendall Jackson wine, and just seeing like the genuineness or whatever, like the CEO was just like a good guy, and just like following him and how much he cared about, the quality and the employee experience and stuff. Like now when I'm looking at a wall of wine bottles, I'm like, Kendall Jack, I don't know what to buy, so I'll just buy the thing that I feel like is a good quality purchase,
Mm-hmm.
from a human standpoint. And so that's really like, I mean, you translate that to, the like, in my art school that I went to, College for Creative Studies, I saw a video that they did on one of their professors, who like got to work on, I forget, she worked on something Star Wars related, and it just showed her in her studio just designing like animations for Star Wars, and then underneath that you're just hearing her kind of like talk about just kind of softly about the things she gets to do and the things she cares about. And I'm like, I want to take that class. I want to go back to art school now. That's really cool. Like when you just feel like somebody, now you just feel more connected and you want to move toward that. So I think that's really where storytelling really shines. And I don't think it's the best decision for all parts of the funnel. Like I think we beat everyone, we beat everyone over the head with the storytelling word. It's everywhere. And I don't think, if I have a plumbing leak, I don't want to hear about how your grandpa started the company.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to know, like, I'm very bottom of funnel. Just give me the facts. But up, as you go more towards the top, that's where that emotional connection really is powerful.
And that's where I think there's so much room for, as companies and really the world has fragmented and niched down. I mean, you could find a plumbing company that probably aligns with your exact beliefs and what,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? It's just how it works, right? Like, I'm the plumbing company for X, Y, and Z, da da da, right? Like, I'm the plumbing company for families who live in, 1970s homes with 3 kids. Like, you could get
Yeah.
so specific in terms of what that is. And but to that point, like, that is where that storytelling element can come in and really differentiate, to where depending on the company or the school, like, you're really not, the faster you can understand you're not marketing to everybody, the faster you can like lean in
Mm-hmm.
into who you want to tell that story for. I'm curious, how do you, if you're working with a client, let's say we're going to start to tell some stories. Let's even say like, hey, cool, we're all set with top of funnel. Like we're all in with you, John. We want to be able to tell really good stories. How do you set somebody up for success who's listening to say, all right, here's where to go to start telling better stories in your content?
Yeah, I think we start with, let's become collectors of stories to begin with. So let's look. I think the best thing to do, the best storytelling is not forced. It's not like trying to create some really powerful narrative that doesn't actually exist. I really like just the idea of listening for, where is cool stuff happening, who's it happening with, and how can we just kind of guide that story into a video format rather than force it, like we're faking all these scenes of B-roll and stuff like that. So that's where I suggest people start, is like, what is actually um, powerful, within your midst. And if you don't know, like, that's where you got to start, is like, talk to your customers,
Mm-hmm.
talk about, the transformation they've experienced with your product or whatever their problems are. So I think just being collectors of stories is really important. That's what we really try to drive into colleges, is like, you've got thousands of students ambling about, your school every day. Talk to them, like, find out where they came from, and where they're going. And like, we'll do casting for, we'll do casting before we start a storytelling initiative with a school. And I'm always, amazed at, like, I would not have thought to tell that story, but this person submitted it, and I'm like, that's brilliant. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's, so I just really think, like, getting inspired by, like, what stories actually exist, because good storytelling, you have to start with a good story. And I think that's where we go off the rails on storytelling, is we think everything's storytelling, and we think just because we said something and we put a really dramatic symphony music underneath it, that we've told a story. Well, really, you just said some words and put some music underneath it. Like, a good storytelling starts with a good story. So I just think that's always the best place to start, is like, get inspired first. And I think the rest just starts to, you're going to be like, you land on that one thing where like, that is brilliant. Let's pursue, let's pursue that. And because of that, here's how we should approach it. And here's where that could be useful, and all that stuff.
I like that. It's interesting that you said like start with your inspiration or start by getting inspired. I think that's true of a lot of content creation in general, is like, you want to create good stuff, get inspired to create good stuff.
Yeah.
You want a good podcast, get inspired to go create a good podcast. You want to create a good interview, go get inspired to create and tell a good story in that interview. And I think talking to customers, I was waiting for it. I knew you were going to go there. Like, you talk to your customer. Like, yes, go talk to customers, whether that's you actually scheduling these things or like surveying the folks on your team who are on the lines actually talking with customers. I just did this week. I'm working on a project where we're redoing some of the like higher level story narrative arc, and we've been like developing it, and then this week we got like a testimonial email come through where it was literally the story. Like, this happened and then this happened and then we reached out to you guys and this happened and then this was like, and
Perfect.
that made the story that we're going to tell, for me, so much more, to your words, inspiring, and so much, there's actually like meat on that bone, right? Of like
Right.
being able to go do something with that now. And I can say, all right, cool, this story exists. There's thousands more out there that are just like this. And if we can lean on and tell it in a way that's really compelling, awesome. And then, yeah, to your point, let's just keep collecting and keep getting more of these, because that is going to drive the snowball effect of, oh, this is actually a real thing. Like, because some of it too is like, is this story real? Like, as you're creating that content, like, I think it's a great story. I hope it resonates, but if you can take and build that story around what's actually happening, now you're getting somewhere.
Yeah. And I find it's awkward to like, to try to, what's the incentive for your customer to give you, 20, 30 minutes of their time. And so I think there's that, there's finding creative ways to get time from people and get focused attention, but also finding ways to just work it into your day-to-day goings on,
Mm-hmm.
because so like when I'm in just meetings with people, I'm listening to their problems and I keep track of those. I have a whole spreadsheet where I'm like, oh, I talked to this person, this was their problem, here's a transcript from that virtual call. And that's really helpful in just kind of just listening
Mm-hmm.
for insights and keeping track of those.